the founding principle upon which GM was actually introduced into this country, or was not so much introduced, but at least gained the support of the state governments, at least in most states, was this concept called market choice principle. And that was really about giving the market the choice, not to just simply change all the genetics over to GM straight away, but to give growers freedom to choose whatever seed they wanted to grow, or whatever technology they wanted to use. Similarly for buyers, the traders, to buy whatever grain they wanted to buy, irrespective of the technology. Similarly for the crushers, so that they had freedom to choose whether they wanted to buy GM and non-GM. And so it goes down through the value chain. Food manufacturers, so the Meadow Lees of the world could choose whether they wanted to buy GM or non-GM. Consumers free to choose what they want to buy at supermarket shelf, and feed manufacturers and users free to choose what they want to feed their animals. So this principle of market choice was really the fundamental principle that I guess got the state governments over the line, because back in 2002, I think 2003 when it was approved, it took quite a lot of work from my predecessors to get to that point, and this was one of the clinchers that really helped do that by ensuring the industry and the regulators that we would ensure that wherever there was demand for non-GM, there will be a supply chain for non-GM. So where are we with non-GM segregation? Since GM came in 2009, we've shipped, or traded, sorry, around 17 million tonnes of non-GM canola. That's a hell of a lot of canola. That's about, well, what is that? It's about 5 years worth of total production or more. And in all that time, we haven't actually had an issue with a report of any sort of commingling with GM seed that's prevented the trade from going ahead. So we've never had a vessel rejected at port because it was sold as non-GM and it's had the presence of GM above 0.9. We've never had trucks turned back at Cargill or at Riverland because they've boarded as non-GM and it turned out to be greater than 0.9. So we've had a very strong success record with a very large volume of seed. Meal is the other component, of course. So meal is what's left when you crush for the oil, and the meal is where the altered protein, the altered DNA sits, not in the oil but in the meal. So again, stock feed people are very conscious that if they want to have non-GM, and there are some dairy companies that have had protests out the front of when GM started. Murray Goulburn, I think, had protests from anti-GM people saying, don't feed the cows GM, blah, blah, blah. So some people, particularly the dairy industry, are very strict about non-GM. Again, no issues there. And the oil, now you can't detect oil, whether it's come from genetically modified seed or not, because there's no altered DNA in the oil, but we've had no issues there. Where's that gone, that 17 million tonnes? About 5 million tonnes of that's been used domestically, crushed and sold domestically as non-GM. Plus or minus around about 7.5 million tonnes has gone to the EU. EU, since about 2001-2, has become a huge market for Australian canola, and they have been specifically requesting non-GM, so a fair bit's gone there. And the balance has gone to China, Japan, UAE, just traditional markets. So we've got a strong and a good history of being able to maintain that non-GM segregation and maintain market choice.